Welcome to Switchcraft episode 9. My name is Jana Kemmer and I'm sitting here with my co-host Julian Borno.
How's it going, lads and lasses?
And today we're going to talk about fingerboard spots, parks, realistic spots and wheels. Let's jump right in. Today we're gonna start with the news, because the news are leading us into a topic, because Sorry and the Berrics dropped the video.
Exactly, they collaborated on a fingerboard part that was purposefully done on a Berrics recreation in miniature.
Yeah, they basically went to the Berrics probably 100 times to measure everything and to build an exact representation of the Berrics as a fingerboard park.
Yeah.
And I know that this is a lot of work. Like, we tried measuring a real spot and...
Oh yeah, it's a lot of planning, it's a lot of headache. Yeah, it's tedious as fuck.
You have to get every measurement, and even if you think you got all the measurements you need, you forgot 10.
Yeah, something always pops up.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really impressive feat.
And I mean, the video itself was cool. They had quite good riders there. Nico Frank was one of the riders, and I really liked most of the video. But
I mean, opinions obviously differ because it's, as always, a matter of perspective and of preference, as we tend to say quite often.
Yeah.
Because for example, I didn't enjoy the video that much because of the filming. Most filming angles, at least, weren't what I would expect from a Berrics filmer who is used to filming skateboarding and who should know how to recreate those angles.
Yeah, to clarify what he means, a lot of the shots are taken wide angle, and I'm not going to argue about wide angle, close angle. It's more that the way they are shot wouldn't be possible in the real Berrics park, because that would mean the filmer had to either hover in the air or had to film the skater from across half the park. And I didn't really have an issue with it, because I think this video has a bit of a different crowd than the core fingerboard crowd. And I don't think the skate crowd would focus that much on the way it's filmed. I get your point that it's not as realistic and not as it doesn't feel like a real skate.
I mean,
video.
it's mostly a matter of potential. Like, they were there, they had the perfect park, and they had the perfect riders, because I know for a fact that if you give Nico Frank a combo he's good at, he just smashes it down 10 times in a row, and that's it.
Yeah, like if you mess up the filming,
yeah, exactly.
You can just go again.
Just take another one. It's cool. So I would have really enjoyed it if it grew to be a perfect product. Just a perfect recreation of skateboarding at a miniature Berrics.
At the highest level of riding. But in general, I really like when people miniaturize skate spots, and there are a few that come to mind, but still it's not that often that you see it.
Yeah, for sure. It's as we said, it's for one, it's tedious work. Second, it takes really time also. You have to invest some time into the planning and into sourcing materials and stuff like that. So it really it's not that much of a common issue, because people are taken aback by the difficulties, I think.
Yeah, but my approach is more it doesn't have to be an exact representation. For me, it's more to get the gist of it. And I know we argued quite a bit about that part, because I would be more the side of let's just build it, and if, for example, at a spot we were looking at, the flat has 2 different angles to it, so it's not flat. And I was just make it flat, or make it angled in one side, or just slanted. However, it doesn't have to be the exact degree as
I get
the original.
what you mean.
Because now we just haven't worked on it for weeks. Because I think at some point it's just was just one visit too much, and I know we still would need to visit a couple more times if we still would do it.
The thing is, for example, the MACBA replica I've actually tried is not perfectly the same. It's not perfectly to scale, which wouldn't be possible because you would need 6 meters of tables just for the ledge. So you see how that's not possible. And there's always like the arguing between realistic and approachable, rideable fingerboardable.
Yeah, because a lot of real-life skate parks aren't that good fingerboard parks.
Oh, for sure.
Like, for example, there are spots that look really cool, but I don't think I would have as much fun riding that. For example, the South Banks, which also made a miniaturization of. I don't think it's that much fun to ride, because at the end of the day, it's a couple banks, one mani pad that's elevated, and even though in skating that looks really cool since it's a huge drop after a manual or something like that, in fingerboarding it's just not that impressive. And I like it much more if it's a bit of a technical spot and has, in general, just a bit more going for it.
I get that, yeah.
But
sure.
There are spots that lead themselves to be just a spot and not a park. For example, the Carlsbad Gap from LAFB. That one I would really enjoy riding, because even the skate spot isn't meant to be sessioned all day. It's a big rail. So you either do something over the big gap or you do something over the big rail. It's not like a park where you cruise around, try a couple things, and
no lines allowed, just single takes basically.
Yeah. And for me the South Bank spot has a weird mix between being a park and being a spot, since it's so enclosed. But that is in no way meant as an insult or with sorry. It's more that the original spot is built that way.
Yeah, and for sure. It's just it's a matter of preference.
Yeah, and that is a thing you have to keep in mind when building a fingerboard spot. Because I built myself a park, and it turned out to be not as great. I mean, I like it, but at that point I just didn't know exactly what I liked. I don't care as much that it's not perfectly built, because I can handle that. Like,
for sure.
I'm not the biggest outdoor rider, but it's like a smooth outdoor spot. And so I don't have a problem with that. I'm gonna put pictures of my park in the show notes. It's more when planning a park and actually building it, it's so different, because you never get the distances right when just measuring it and actually building it. Even if you prop it up, and you can't really ride it at that moment usually. And it's an interesting process to do. And I would really like to touch up my park in the future, but I don't think I will, because I would basically need to deconstruct the whole thing. But I really got an appreciation for doing parks on a bigger scale, because my park isn't small, even though it feels small.
I get what you mean, yeah.
Because, for example, Black River, I mean, I don't think anyone likes all the parks they have done. Yeah. Everyone has their favorite park, like the favorite Black River park, but they are on a level which is very, very high. And
it's a very high level. For sure, like the whole craftsmanship is really professional, and the wielding of the rails and stuff like that, for sure. But still, I don't think those are like the parks I enjoyed most riding.
And that was also what I had in mind, because Black River basically is reinventing their park every time they do a new version. Like a lot of the versions have a lot in common, but they
similarities,
they either keep the main section of the last park or add like a new main thing and keep the rest relatively same. So it's this weird dance between reinventing and stepping up.
Yeah.
And I think at this point they just have done so much that it sometimes would be better to take a step back and do a bit more simple.
Yeah, maybe from a clean slate.
Yeah.
Like completely.
For example, the Stone Park.
The Stone Park is really
at the Aussie shop. It's quite simple in its layout, but I really enjoy riding that. Like, it's my favorite park at the Aussie shop.
Yeah, I think
even
mine
though
as well.
the kink rail is a bitch, but
both rails are actually bitches, to be quite honest. Yeah, but still, that's I don't know. That's the perfect mix between rideable and also really challenging. Like, those two rails are hard to ride, but nonetheless, you want to get your trick on there even more because it's actually a challenge. Also, it has sections that are really chilled, like there's a really low manual pad, which is just really easy to ride and to grind.
Or my favorite section, the bank-to-bank with a grass gap in the middle and a brick ledge on the side. It's a really simple feature, and those are the kind of things I would like to see more, and not the like drawn-out flats with a couple of barriers like the Aussie number 10 park from Black River.
Yeah, that's I don't dislike that section because it's fun to ride, but it's already been seen. I guess I get what you mean, yeah.
And it's not even being seen on another Black River park, because I haven't seen that kind of section, but maybe I haven't seen that much, but it didn't feel like a brand new thing.
Yeah,
it was like a big mani pad with a few different levels and a few barriers on the side. It wasn't something completely out of nowhere.
Yeah. For example, I really enjoy the parks that Mike builds, because those really only focus on rideability. Like, he just puts his stuff together and decides from scratch how's this going to be, and always mixes weird materials. Like, there's always elements of wood, concrete, granite, metal. There's everything in there, and it just makes the park way more fun to me, because it varies really. And
like, I don't mean to bash on Black River, but in Black River parks they always have the bricks, and I'm not a fan of bricks.
No, me
and
neither.
I would much rather see like a granite ledge or
the thing with the bricks is that that really came into being a thing around the hype times. So like
2012-ish.
2011, 12-ish. So they really focused on that, and they kind of never gave it up, really.
Yeah,
because there's tons of parks
and every park.
There's tons of parks that have them, but also Black River parks in the past used to implement also granite elements. Like, for example, the G7 park has
or the G8.
Oh yeah, G7 and G8 have both stone elements that are really rideable.
G8 has two different granite parts, and I really like both. And I hate the brick ledge.
That wasn't a brick ledge in the beginning. Start, exactly.
Yeah,
it was just a metal coping.
Yeah, now I would prefer something like that much more, or doing like a slab of granite in between wood, like as a rideable surface.
Oh, okay.
Like just switching it up a bit, and not doing, because bricks are cool, but doing everything out of bricks every time is a bit repetitive. And,
for sure.
And all the curbs with bricks, I'm not a big fan of those. And speaking of the whole Aussie number 10 park, I recently saw a picture, and I think it was in the story of either Martin Ehrenberger, the owner of Black River, or Black River itself, and it showed a progress on the Fast Fingers number 20 park.
Oh yeah.
But I wasn't able to find the picture, so we thought we would just talk about what we would like to see. And so far, what I can tell you is it looks similar to the Aussie number 10, or at least it's from the same realm.
Concept. Yeah,
it's the huge stair section looked different, and the flat section looked different.
Oh, but that's good.
Yeah, but still, those were recognizable.
Okay, I guess.
It wasn't like they weren't there, and it also wasn't like they were the same, but
just a bit switched up, not radically different.
Not radically different. We're not going back to like a G8 or
for sure,
like something in that style of building.
Yeah, that park. I don't know, to be quite honest, because for a park, you also have to think about if you want to use it in a contest, as a contest park.
You mean the Aussie number 10 park?
Exactly. Yeah. That park is okay for a run. I mean, it's not outstanding for a run. I think the best Black River Park for a run is and remains the G8.
And I'm not a big fan of the G8 as a run park.
Yeah, really?
I never ridden a run on there. I mean, I haven't ridden a real contest run in 13 years. But only one small contest in Hamburg. But what I really don't like the free wobbles on the G8.
Yeah.
And I would much rather them being something else, like a small
bank to bank
or
something.
Something like that. But the park itself is really cool. And it's probably a good contest park, but yeah.
Yeah, but back to the Aussie number 10 park. If you do a run on there, it's quite okay. For a best trick section, it's okay as well, because you've got spots, you know.
But for the best trick section, what I didn't like was that it wasn't symmetrical, and some spots didn't exist at all as a left-handed option. Like, I'm not saying we have to have everything mirrored.
Yeah.
But, like, a handrail just being on the regular right-hand side, like right-hand regular.
I get what you mean. I like to have a rail you can right switch as well, to be honest, or fakie.
Yeah, like,
and that gets difficult for left-handed.
Exactly.
Left-handed.
At least put two rails in there. They can be completely different, but
just put them there.
I was judging the contest, and we were really struggling if we should do a best trick just on the hip section with the brick ledge on top, because
that's the only symmetrical spot.
Exactly, and it turned out that we didn't have a left-handed rider in the
so
top
it was
5.
fine.
Yeah, so it was fine, but we talked about maybe switching it up if we have a left-handed person in there. For left-handed, you basically just have the big gap, and that's it. You don't really have interesting spots. Of course, you can do the rail switch, but it's not like it was primarily built for a right-handed
rider.
And to be ridden regular.
Yeah, I get that.
So what would you like to see in a park?
I like center sections. I like a good centerpiece.
Yeah,
a centerpiece that is varied, that has lots of elements. I love double stairs, for example.
Me too.
I love flat double stairs, where you can for example, do a trick into the gap to manual and then just a big spin out or whatever. Or just ride the rail and take the spot hole, you know?
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of really big starting sections or like a really big end piece. I really like is it the G14? The angled one. Which one is that?
That's the G... Shoot me dead. I don't know.
I think it's the G14. But anyways, I really like the end piece because it has a lot of things going and you can do a lot of different things on it. It has like the different heights on the mani-pad section. It has
there's the stairs and the ledge.
The big hover ledge, which is basically an angled mani-pad. Then there are things I don't like about that section, like that the round rail is angled. But that's
so hard to ride.
The whole concept of the park. It's like everything is angled. And I think I would like the center section of that park much more if it was
Fun fact, you know who helped design that one?
No.
Jay Linehan.
Oh, okay. Because I really think the end piece is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the park, it feels like whoever built it ran out of ideas. And that's what I always felt with a few Black River parks. That sometimes one side is really cool and really thought out, and then it's a quarter on the other side.
You just lose it on
like the
on the
number
ending.
10. It just has a single quarter pipe in one corner and nothing on the rest.
Yeah, exactly. That's a bit off-letting for sure.
Yeah,
but it gives you at least a possibility to like carve up and like return to the other side for a run. But I get what you mean. It's a bit poor.
Yeah, and at the other number 10, Ramon was, I think, the only one who used the whole park
multiple times.
Yeah, he made a point of doing everything in one go and just continuing until he didn't have time anymore. Didn't do a single flip trick, just slides, and went around the park 3 times, and it was one of the best scores. I think it was the best score in the first section.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm not sure if the second run was also or if that run would have held up to other runs in the second part of the contest. But doing simple tricks around the park is sometimes something you don't really see. So it can score higher than somebody who just rides 2 sections. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a stay on is really considered in a high place. Like, consistency is always a category that you judge in contests. Yeah. So, basically, just doing basics, but keeping it stay on can give you a really high score in some instances. And if you really also make it look well, you could also bargain some style points. So
yeah, and if you use the whole park, that is always something I like to see in judging. Like, I judged, I think, only 2 contests, but those were quite big. Mm-hmm. I judged the Fast Fingers 10 and the Aussie number 10.
Yeah.
I think I have something with the number 10. And yeah, both there were discussions what we should look at, and after some runs we had to debate for a while because we were like, how do we score this? Because this one was different than everything else, and it doesn't always have to be a good thing, and it can sometimes make things hard to judge. And
for sure,
if I see someone riding, like for example at the Aussie number 10 park, just riding the double set, but doing like some nollie tricks and some regular tricks and something on the lower at the lower end of the rail, it's cool and it can be very technical, but I like it much more if it showcases the park a bit more.
Yeah, that's not a run. Yeah, for sure.
That's more like a session, and a lot of people create
misunderstand.
Their run. They ride their run as if they would just have a session at the park. And it's more like you should try to plan out your run a bit, and at least do something like, I'm gonna do a trick here, gonna do a nollie trick here, and I want to do this specific trick on this specific obstacle.
I don't know, to be honest. Like, that's not how I ride a run.
Okay, how do you ride your runs?
I ride the run, like, I'm not a contest person, but I had one year where things were going well. I don't know. And I kind of went there with no expectations whatsoever and just let it flow, basically.
Yeah, but that, I think to be able to do that, you have to be a very good rider.
No, that's the thing. Contests and expectations are not two things that go well together. If you walk up there and tell yourself you're gonna do a kickflip down that stair and you bail that first kickflip, it's gonna set you back mentally.
Yeah, that's why I approach my runs, or used to back then, more like, I want to do something here, and I had a specific trick only for my ender.
Yeah, exactly. Just do a best trick at the end and maybe bail on that one, but the rest just flow it, just fuck it.
Yeah,
just
and I really like things like just looking at a line, because for example the fast fingers I had my best run was fast fingers number 9, which had a huge park. Like it was, I think, double or triple the size of a regular Black River park. And on that one, on the first run, I just focused on what I'm good at. And the run basically came out of nowhere. I was ranked very high. All my friends freaked out because nobody saw me riding like that. Mm-hmm. I always thought, I only ride transition and that's stupid. And I did my thing. And that scored very high. On the second, I tried to do what the judges were expecting, or what I thought the judges were expecting. And I failed miserably. Because I wasn't feeling great and I got nervous and I was missing tricks. So just play to your strengths. Like, if you're good at transition, try to work out your run in a way that you end up at a transition once in a while. If you're good with like manual tricks, try to find a section where you can do a cool manual trick, and you don't have to approach it like gonna do a nollie tray big spin out. But
exactly, if you are good at flip in, flip outs, and you've never ridden a contest, don't try. It's not gonna work.
Yeah, like contest runs really need to be simplified, and there's a bit of margin for error on contests. Like there are things like a contest make, but still you should more aim at landing clean and doing less tricks rather than doing a million attempts and landing 10.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the whole how you ride and how you approach contests is something that I think we should talk about with people who are a bit more accomplished at contests than we have.
For sure.
And maybe we find someone that we could have a chat with before the Fast Fingers.
Yeah, that's something we wanted to do. To get maybe
maybe someone.
Maybe someone.
We have someone in mind, because right now Fast Fingers is around 3 weeks away, and there hasn't been a Fast Fingers since 2016, so it's been a while.
Now that you say, I still have to see how I get down there.
Yeah, me too. So I have to book my ticket. But yeah, I'm really interested to see people, because I know that, for example, Fabian Schreiter is going to show up.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
I have no idea if he's riding a run. I would say he won't, because he's more the rider who just goes for it on his own time.
Yeah, he's not really a contest rider.
He never was a big contest rider. But I also know that he always was a bit... It was something that he wasn't happy about never winning a contest. Because he was close a couple times, but he never won a contest. And for basically one of the best fingerboarders, that's something and I would say he is one of the best.
Yeah, for sure.
That's something, maybe that itch scratches him enough to enter. And maybe we
I get that.
Get like
we'll see what the future
20, like 2008 Fabian Schreiterbeck or something like that. But speaking of Fabi, he also has a signature wheel with Winkler, and wheels really also play a part in a run or in how you ride a park.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because there are certain, like there's so many different wheels, and not every wheel is for every surface.
Oh yeah, for sure. For example, I have a spare set of Street Edition J wheels that I'm gonna use if the contest park is actually wood, which it will probably be, because the Black River Edition J's are just like way too grippy on wood. So, no way.
Yeah, I also really like the street shape of the J's.
Yeah.
I had a different material, I think, a different shape. I think I had the regular J4s. No.
J4 is the bigger one.
Yeah, I have the bigger one. And that one was way too grippy for me.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That one felt more like an oak wheel.
Mm-mm.
And some people like very grippy wheels on wood.
Yeah, whew.
I'm more in the other camp. I really like very slippery wheels, like the Fatman's and also the Fabi wheels, like both from Winkler. I really like both wheels, and I also really like flat face wheels, and specifically the black ones and the turquoise ones. I'm not that big on the J's.
Yeah,
yet.
on wood, you really have to get the right type of hardness, because really, if the wheel is too grippy, you're not going to get stuff done, basically. But I don't know. The thing is, I mainly don't ride on wood.
You're more of a granite.
Exactly, granite and marble, and sometimes concrete. If I find a good concrete surface. The thing is, I used to be big on hard wheels. Like I used the flat face white material, which is like one of the hardest materials out there. Really slippery, and also the surface. The riding surface of the street edition is a bit thinner, so you basically don't have that much contact with the surface you're riding on. But once I started to use the J's, I kind of found out for myself that especially when riding backside on something, the extra grip really gives me that extra precision to hold the flip steady down the line, kind of. And switching back to white or harder wheels, now I tend to kind of slip out of my path and miss the grind, so yeah.
Yeah, and I just never do backside tricks. Like, for some reason I'm not that big on backside tricks. I have a couple ones I'm good at and that I do regularly, but that's pretty much it. But I want to get back to the riding surface, like the width of your wheel, of the wheel that touches the riding surface, because that makes such a big difference. I have two different sets of J's, and one is way too grippy, pretty much on anything, and the other one is a bit more on a harder urethane, basically. It's like not as soft as oak wheels.
A good in between, kind of.
It's a very good in between, and I could actually see myself using that as a like all-purpose setup. But I really fell in love with the Fatman wheels, and also Fatman is quite a good friend of ours. He's a regular at the shop, and he's a cool dude, and I don't know why, but I just like riding those wheels. Maybe it's because I know him and I know him well, but maybe it's just because I really like the wheels. And it took me a while to get there. I didn't like those wheels from the beginning, and only since I had them
They are really wide.
Yeah, they are really wide. And only since I had them on the specific setup there now, which is a 5-lug 33.3 millimeters with Black River 32mm trucks.
Uh-huh.
Only since then I really enjoy them, and those are the kind of things you have to figure out with a lot of wheels, like how wide can my trucks be with those wheels? Because
exactly.
there are very tiny wheels. And
for example, if you take oak minis on a truck, and then you just have like the nuts sticking out, and that looks
some people don't like
interesting.
That. Some people do like that. And for example, the cartwheel mini wheels, they always like Simon from Cartwheels always makes a point of the wheel covering the whole nut.
Oh yeah.
But that makes in instance of the cartwheels, it makes the wheel much wider. And some people don't like how wide cartwheels are. But
I get that.
But Cartwheels just released or just announced a collaboration with Fingerboard Connoisseur.
Oh yeah, for sure. I saw that. The white of white.
Yeah,
or
but
is it?
It's more. No, it's more about the shape. It's a new shape.
Okay.
It's a more narrow shape.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, and it was funny because I wrote with Simon and was like, "Why don't you have shorter wheels?" It was like just something that I asked myself a couple times.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Gotta show you something."
Just you wait.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but it's really, there are so many different wheels.
Oh yeah.
And
it's really
exploded in the last couple months.
For sure. You really like for me, for example, it's like that. You need to think about 3 basic things. There's the shape, there's the material, and there's the bearing.
Yeah.
Like you really... I need a good combination of all 3. I need a good shape. I need... the material is basically not that important to me. It just got... Now that the J's got released. But the bearing has always been my main... concern. It needs a good bearing. If not, I don't know. It's just it's just not for me.
I hate when bearings slip out or when you have to pop them back in.
Oh yeah,
and that's one of the reasons I'm not big on joycodes. I mean, I have a set, and on that set the bearings didn't slip once. But as far as I know, it's
a common issue.
Yeah, it's not. It's really uncommon to have your bearings not slip on joycodes.
Yeah. And
also the bearings of joycodes aren't that great.
Yeah, they're not the cleanest. They don't have the cleanest turning feel for me, at least.
Yeah, but it's always an interesting debate on what a good bearing is. Like, I know some fingerboard wheel makers say, hey, the wheel just spins for ages, so it's a good bearing. And some more focus on that it runs smoothly. And I know that you, for example, showed me a lot how to treat fresh bearings.
Yeah. It's really more about, for me at least, it's really more about the smoothness of the bearing, because that also tells you how durable the bearing is.
Yeah.
Like, the thinner the rim in the cage that is guiding the spheres in the bearing is, the smoother and more durable the bearing is going to be. If you have a bearing that runs freely when you screw the wheel on, that just makes like... and spins for 30 seconds, well, that wheel is going to last 6 months tops. Because... the rim is just so big already that the spheres can spin freely. So really, it's just about, in that case, it's just about lubricating the wheel well with a good viscous fat, and then you're done.
But also a lot of people over lubricate their wheels. When I got my J's, they were a bit stuck.
Yeah.
But still, I first screwed them on, moved the deck around for a bit, then put a tiny drop of oil on all when I realized, okay, they just need something, because usually you don't want to lubricate fresh bearings or fresh wheels. At least I usually don't. I usually just break them in a bit. And then after time I realize, okay, they do need a bit more lubrication or they don't.
And that's all you do basically.
Yeah, and I never put a single drop of oil on them again. And I had them for a couple months now, and so many times at the Aussie shop I see people, mostly younger kids, asking for oil after every session. And I'm like, sometimes
I mean, it depends on the bearings, and some bearings out there are really shitty.
Yeah.
But, I mean, no.
But it's sometimes also about taking care of a wheel. For example, when I traded away my Oaks, I was quite convinced that they were in probably as good as condition as when I bought them.
Yeah.
And I traded one of them to Tyrone, who is specifically rough with setups and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And after he rode them for a week, they looked like they've been used for years.
Yeah, for sure. He's one of the most extreme cases, for sure.
He and Ramon, Ramon Angelo, those riders really tear through.
Yeah, Ramon is just like a durability test. If you want to test wheels, send them to Ramon.
Yeah, or axles, or
basically everything.
Yeah, and so sometimes I just unscrew my wheels and clean the bearing with like a Q-tip or something.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that takes away the lubrication, so if you do that, you sometimes need to re-lubricate, but just take out the chunks of like random goo that land in your wheel after a while.
Yeah.
That can do much more than just lubricating, because if you just put oil on there as much as possible, but it's still a bunch of dirt in there,
you're probably going to get the dirt in.
Yeah.
Which is going to be detrimental, even worse.
You're ruining the wheel much more than don't. But sometimes there are wheels that just have a shitty bearing or a shitty wheel. And like before we started recording, you actually removed a bearing of one of my flat face sets, like of my J's.
Yeah, because like the bearings still are industrially manufactured, so it's basically mass production. So it can happen that one set of bearings just wasn't lubricated properly, and in the transport or somewhere along the line got rusty and fucked up.
And you can really feel that because it feels a bit chunky. But I think in
crusty,
a bit crusty. And I think in most cases you just contact the seller and figure things out. But yeah, since I bought it from Kata, who bought it like FBS, who bought it from Mike, and was my first order for FBS, I thought like, hey, I don't want to stir up stuff, and I know that she has to go through a lot, and I knew that I still had flat face swirls where one of the set broke.
Oh yeah.
So I knew that I had bearings left, so if push comes to shove, I could always change the bearing.
Exactly.
Which we just did today. And
I just did a little surgical procedure, and it's done.
So sometimes you can't do anything about bearing. But if it's something that right after you receive a fresh wheel, like a brand new wheel from a company, just contact them and at least ask if that's normal. Cause
usually customer service is quite good throughout this fingerboard scene.
Because, like I said, the J's at the beginning didn't move at all, but that was very, like, after a few minutes, that all went away. And after one lubrication, they're pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
So some materials behave different than others, some bearings behave different than others, and sometimes it's just the riding surface you're on. If the wheel doesn't grip on your surface because it's like glass or something, you just end up pushing the wheel over the surface without actually turning the wheel.
Yeah.
So when testing wheels, I would recommend a surface that you would also use as a spot.
Exactly, like something you're accustomed to. Like your basic home spot, basically.
Yeah. And there there are so many wheels or wheel companies that seem to explode in the last few months, and I know that we touched on it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But there are so many wheels that I would like to try, or at least like to see, but sometimes like a lot of them are urethane based wheels, and I just realized that I'm not that big of a fan of urethane.
For example, I'm super curious about the dynamic wheels that just got released yesterday. Like, that's something I'm really big on, because the shape is asymmetrical, so that's really interesting and really realistic. Like, it's actually designed with a skateboard wheel in mind. And the other thing is that the grip and material, or at least the grip, should be similar to the J's. So basically, like, my perfect grip formula. So I'm really interested. Like, let's see.
And also, it had one of the best captions.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Lately. So check out the dynamic post.
Oh yeah, do that.
So yeah, we hope that we can record another podcast before we leave for Fast Fingers.
We will try.
Yeah, but if we don't, or even if we do record another one, like, feel free to hit me up at Fast Fingers. I always enjoy writing with people I haven't written before, and I'm addicted to gamma skates. So
yeah,
challenge
for sure.
me.
We will be there, and yeah, we look forward to the session.
Yeah, so yeah, and if you have a question how to get there or anything, like, just shoot me a message, and yeah. So yeah, either you're gonna hear us before we leave, or you will just see us at Fast Fingers.
And then we will be back with a massive recap.
Yeah. And maybe I even try to bring the mic, and maybe we can see if we do something on the road.
Some stand-up interviews.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, let's see. I mean, let's not.
Let's not promise too much.
Exactly.
But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and we're gonna talk to you in the next episode.
Yeah, we're done. We're sorry.
We're all sorry. Bye.